Hey fellow retro gamers, this is Doug Jackson, aka Vintage Game Crazy, and it took a few days assembling my 1970s video game console. Museum shelf basically is what I would call it. And this is down in my basement and not completely finished yet. The whole room is still kind of being reorganized and constructed. But I wanted to take some time to build this and just showcase it to everybody. It may change over time as I, figure out nicer ways to display stuff or add more stuff to it. But this is what I believe to be every 1970s cartridge-based video game console released in the United States. It doesn't include any non-US stuff, only the US stuff. So what we're starting with is just a handful of Pongs that I have. This isn't even all of them. I have a couple more. I'm not a big collector of these, but I do have a couple, and they are fun to mess around with. You know, you got an Odyssey 3000, a Conic TVG 101, an Odyssey 400, and this is a Telegames pinball. A little bit hard to see because it's laying down, but want to come down to the meat and the potatoes of everything. You got the original Magnavox Odyssey from 1972. I have all these in what I believe to be the order in which they were released. So this is your original Odyssey. This is 100% complete in very nice condition actually too. So coming over here is another one of the Holy Grails or Unicorn systems. This is the Video Sport by TCR. Probably only about 10 or 12 of these known to exist right now. Part of the PC50X family. Most commonly known overseas in other countries as very cheap Pong alternatives that did take some cartridges. I actually was the one that kind of quasi-discovered this system when I found one in a thrift shop back in 2014, actually in a Goodwill in Arlington Heights, Illinois. This is actually the second one I've owned. There are two variations of this. This one does work, although the controllers need repair, and you can see the one lone cartridge that's known to exist for it. Unfortunately, I am missing the little box that holds the cartridge. Unfortunately, this is my one game system here that I do not have boxed. It's a Channel F, and it is actually a Model 2. I don't own a Model 1 anymore. I did many years ago, and it broke. And I ended up just selling it for, I think, $10 or $15 in parts, probably 15, 18 years ago, before I really knew how to repair this stuff or what it would be worth. So it's the one glaring hole here. I'd like to get an original model with a box at some point, if, I can come up with a way to get one for, less than like $500 what they go for. But moving on, we'll try to zoom through these a little quicker. I have a boxed RCA Studio 2. I actually own several Studio 2s. The box is in pretty poor condition, but it is displayable. It's the only boxed one I have. I have an Atari 2600 here. This is a 4-switch wood grain. The box is kind of in the back. Unfortunately, you can't see the entire box because it's just too wide. It doesn't fit on the shelf right. The other thing that I have here is another Unicorn Holy Grail system. Probably going to make a lot of people jealous. This is the Unisonic Champion 2711, and the console's in excellent condition. Just a couple of little flaws on it. It's actually got the original piece of plastic on it that's never been taken off. It does work. Unfortunately, I never got a power supply with it, so I had to makeshift a 16-volt power supply to work with it, but I did get it fixed. You can see up here it has the box that includes all 4 cartridges that were made for it. The box in the back is actually in pretty poor condition, but the front of it displays very nicely. But unfortunately, probably will never see another one of these. I can't remember the last time one's ever been for sale. I've owned this one for about 10 years, and it's probably really the last one I've seen for sale. I did get this one for about $350, which I thought was a very good price, all things considered. So, and we'll move on down. We have a Telstar Arcade. This was actually the final 1970s game system that I acquired to finish this collection. Again, it's in pretty nice condition. The box has a little bit of wear and tear, but overall very nice You can see I have a microvision here. There's actually two here. The one on top doesn't work, and the one in the box is actually still does work. The top one is a bad screen, like 90% of them do, but still displayable. I have a full library for this. You can see I have a fairly nice condition belly. This is the Professional Arcade or the Astrocade. I only do have one controller for it. I don't have any more right now. And I only have a handful of games for this. I've never really went after a huge collection for this. Something I kind of wish I would have done. But, sometime down the road I'd like to. Down on the very bottom, I got a Magnavox Odyssey 2. Again, in excellent condition. Got the removable controllers with only a little bit of wear on it. I've got all the parts for this, including the plastic wrap and the power supply, and all the manuals and warranties, so I'm happy with that. You do have the APF MP1000 here, another one with a pretty rough box. But again, these are pretty sought after. They're pretty hard to find. Apparently APF didn't make very many of these back in the day. Not quite as rare as your Champion 2711 or your Video Sport, obviously, but still quite rare. And to wrap everything up, I have the Intellivision, and it's just I don't even know if it's the first run of it. I'm not an expert on all the variants of Intellivision, but it's a relatively nice clean system, and the box is okay. It's got some reasonable wear and tear on it, but it's displayable. Got to figure out a way to keep the flaps on the box a little tighter so they look better. That's just something that'll come as I clean the shelf up. But again, if I zoom out, just give everybody one final view of this with all this, with all the systems. I don't think this has ever been done before in the history of video game collecting. Very few people have ever even heard of the Champion 2711, let alone own one. And even, very few people have also ever heard of the Video Sport, let alone own one. And here they all are. This is 11 game consoles and one portable. You know what? If there's anything else that's missing, if you can think of any other game system that was released in the United States in the 1970s, then let me know. Obviously, this doesn't include the Atari Game Brain, which is only a prototype. Maybe someday that would be fun to get, but I'm not terribly upset if I don't. But is there anything else that's missing? Is there anything else that's included besides cartridge-based computers, which I have a couple, but not very many of them, and nothing I'm really going to go after right now. But feel free to leave some comments. Have a discussion. Keep it clean and appropriate and positive, and we will hear from you soon. Thanks a lot.